and welcome to the Black Psychologist Podcast, also known as the eighth wonder of the world. We're back like we never left. Thanks for listening to wherever you get your podcasts, and thanks for watching us on YouTube. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and give us 5 stars. Anything less than 5 stars is uncivilized. I am one half of your humble and gracious host, Dr. Kyle Osborne. He is I, and I am him. And of course, you all know I'm not flying this aircraft by myself. I'm joined by New Jersey's finest, my friend, my brother, my brethren, Dr. Jason Coleman. What is going on, good brother?
Oh man, how you feeling, bro? I'm good. I'm good, man. Just enjoying this weather on this good day, bro. How about yourself?
Yes, sir. I'm here, man. I'm here, enjoying this spring weather. Listen, I got a mad issue with what's that damn groundhog? What's that rodent's name over there in
Something Punxsutawney
yeah.
Hill or something like that. I don't know what the first part is, but
I don't know. Listen, all I know is that my man was giving out all types of false advertising and fake information, talking about spring and all that stuff. Man, listen, he's making a lot of money over there for no reason. Know that.
Man, he don't know what he's talking about, bro. You listening to that groundhog, you're gonna have problems. You already know that,
Other than that, everything is good, brother. I can't complain. Everybody's well.
Yeah,
family.
man.
I'll take it.
Good, man. A lot in the news with mental health, man. We got a lot going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let's get right to it. Bruno Mars. All right. A couple weeks ago, a story came out about music artist Bruno Mars has allegedly racked up large debts at the poker tables in Las Vegas. So, according to one source, he owed millions to the MGM casino. Another source added that his debt is as high as 50 million. All right. Recently, MGM Resorts International denied all the allegations that Bruno Mars is in debt. They released a statement that said, "We're proud of our relationship with Bruno Mars, one of the world's most thrilling and dynamic performers. Any speculation otherwise is completely false. He has no debt with the MGM. Together, we are excited to continue creating unforgettable experiences for our guests." End quote. All right. So now, although that situation appears to be resolved, we thought that it was a decent opportunity to highlight a growing issue that's been around for centuries, right? That's gambling addiction or a gambling disorder, and we wanted to shed some light on this silent addiction and how it has progressed over the years. So I believe a good place to start is looking at how the landscape of gambling has changed within the past 15 or 20 years or so. Now, historically, and growing up, I remember that Atlantic City and Las Vegas were like the two primary gambling meccas, right?
Right.
Then I remember like around 2009, 2010, they started building like local casinos around like at least around the Philly area. I remember like around 2009, 2010, it was like Parks in the Northeast. That casino popped up, and then Rivers Casino on Delaware Avenue. Maybe shortly thereafter, you had Harrah's Casino in Chester, and now you got Live Casino, which is down there by the stadium.
Live is nice.
Live is nice. Yeah, live is really nice. So if judging by like how that has changed or how that's come into play over the past 10, 15 years, you look at it now like gambling is more available than ever, right? You can even do it on your phone. So I think that's a really good place to kind of start in regards to just how gambling has changed over the past few. Like, what have you observed of how it's
well, again, right? Again, we all know JB Smooth, right? We know him from the Caesars commercials now, right? Just to kind of back up a little bit, March, again, Gambling Awareness Month, right? Problem Gambling Awareness Month. So that's kind of it's good that we're tackling this topic now. Even if the Bruno Mars thing is not true, right? We got the Shohei Ohtani kind of issue with the gambling, right? We know what happened with Phil Mickelson when he was gambling, right? So again, it's a good topic to kind of look at. I was kind of educated myself looking into this topic a little bit more. There's a good article in Psychology Today for this month related to this topic. I was surprised to find out 2 to 4 million people are diagnosed with gambling addiction or experience challenges with that. Also, problem gambling increases suicidal ideation, those type of behaviors. And they said 19%, I'm looking at a study now, it said 19% of people who have problematic gambling habits have experienced suicidal ideation in the last year, right? So you can kind of see the connection. And building off what you're saying, we kind of should have seen this coming, right? Because 2018, sports betting is legalized. Shortly after that, we start seeing gambling go into apps on our phone, right? And similar to how these apps are designed, are using psychologists and the reason why they're designed a certain way, they're designed to look like games, right? So certain things are gonna happen when you win, certain things are gonna happen when you lose. You know, you're gonna buy things and it's gonna convert your money into coins. You're gonna spend the coins and not your money, right? Although you're still virtually pulling the lever on a machine. So there's a lot of ways that they pull you in, right? And again, me and you were kind of talking about how Atlantic City is, you know, and I mean Vegas is kind of designed, you know, in certain ways to kind of keep you spending and keep you gambling and keep you engaged, right? Even if you're in a casino and you take a break and go sit by the bar, boom, you look down and there's video poker, you know. So if you know, gambling is one of these kind of addictions where, you know, if you'll be inundated, right, with opportunities, right, to scratch that itch. So if you're experiencing those type of challenges, it's kind of hard if you don't have like a lot of support around you, you know, and people that don't mind, quite frankly, like pissing you off and going against you, right? So
Yeah, it's absolutely a silent addiction. Like you said before we got on here, I had the opportunity to go to Vegas earlier in the month. And I mean, just observing everything around, they have so many different social psychology like tricks, for lack of a better term,
right,
that are like as soon as you get off the plane, it's right there in your terminal, right? They're already appealing to your senses because we know that if your senses are activated, the more likely it is that you're going to engage in whatever is activating those senses, right? So, like,
right,
as soon as you get on, and I got on at night, right? I landed at night, and like the terminal was pretty much vacant, and there was like 2 or 3 people that were in there just going at it, right? So, as soon as you get to casinos, like there are no clock or no windows, so it's very easily for you to lose track of time while you're on the
exactly.
casino, right? So you don't have no idea how time is going past. Also, they make it very convenient. Like you spoke about that really quick, Jay, where it's like very inviting. It's very convenient. You're on the floor. They still allow you to smoke. They're, complimentary drinks. When I got there, they gave me an extra $50 because they said, "Oh yeah, it's your birthday. Hey, here's 50." Right? Like this is what they do. I was eavesdropping when I was waiting to talk to the concierge like the day after. I was kind of eavesdropping on the conversation, and they did the same thing. Person had agreement. Oh, you know what? Oh, you're here for a bachelor party. Here's this on that, so you can treat them the right way. Like they make it very convenient. Like it's a stress-free environment until you've realized how much money you've donated.
Right.
Like it's a situation where you lose track of where you are, so they're using disorientation like tactics. Like it's very difficult. Anyone's been to Vegas for you to find a bathroom. It's very difficult. Like you gotta get turned around, and just as you said earlier, like you're gonna stumble upon some other different game. You're gonna stumble upon, oh, they got this over here. Oh wow, they got like it's so many other different settings that they provide that are gonna appeal to your senses, that are gonna keep you engaged in gambling. And like you
Yeah.
said, even if you look away, you go to the bar, you have it on your phone. Like we've seen how FanDuel and DraftKings and all these other different sports betting apps have popped up. I'm gonna throw this number at you: 24% bet on sports in the U.S. That was in 2023, right? That's the percentage. Worldwide, 38% of people who have a gambling disorder do so on sports betting. And 39% of problem gamblers play live and online casino games. So those are the numbers, and that's only going to continue to grow because there are more online aspects, right? They can get you on your phone. They can
Right.
get you wherever you are.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, man. Like, there's nowhere you can't gamble. You know what I mean? A lot of different, vices or different, I guess challenges, problems people have. You have to get up and go somewhere to have access to that vice or whatever the behavior it is, right? But with this, you got it on your phone, you got it on your tablet. You can go to Atlantic City. It's different. The casinos are getting closer, so I think it's just something that we're going to probably see more and more of. And I think it's going to be one of these things that's going to never really get the proper attention, right? Because they're going to paint gamblers as people that are just kind of impulsive and irresponsible, and that it's not really a real addiction. That's kind of how I think the public is going to, in general, will view it and how it's going to be painted. So it's going to be one of these things that are swept under the rug, right? But I think it's going to be one of these things that's going to probably slowly become more and more prevalent.
Yeah, it's I swear, like I'm watching the NCAA tournament, and like every other commercial, like you mentioned, is the MGM, DraftKings, or you got Prize. You got all these other different things that are popping up with the celebrity endorsements, and they're already the same way in the casinos. Hey, log on now or download the app. We'll spot you with $15, right? Or we'll match whatever such and such. Right? They make it very like it's in your advantage for you to get. Oh yeah, it's easy picks. You get this. You can quadruple your money and so on and so forth. So it's really important. I know what was helpful for me is that you really have to know yourself, right? You really have to know your strength and your limitations of knowing what's going to happen if you hit that casino floor, if you log onto your phone or whatever the case may be, right? Because if you don't know or you have that awareness of yourself or you don't have someone that's able to like will you in, you will be spending your life savings. You're going to be putting other different things like on the table. You're going to be putting yourself at risk. So it's really important. Like I knew full well, like, okay, I'm not even going to go over to that, to that blackjack table. I'm not doing it. Right. Like I'm staying away from certain things. Like I just knew I'm not even going to put myself in that situation. So it turns into a situation where a lot of the stimulus control and self-monitoring aspect where you're not even putting yourself in that situation because it's all around you. At the same time, it's really important that you know yourself in that and not put yourself in these compromising situations.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's always just been about moderation. Like I always have a certain amount of money when I do want to gamble that I'm gonna lose. And usually when I'm getting close to that mark, I'm tired of gambling anyway. But again, it's not my weakness, right? So I can say that very definitively and very easily. Where other things I probably would have more difficulty saying no, and depending on where everybody has their challenges, right? So, but I think like with most things, it's just about moderation because it's not a bad thing. Some people, if you like that type of thrill, you want to save your money up and go gamble some of it, fine, right? It's just a problem when you gambling away the mortgage and the college money, right? So it's more so about having accountability, and if you know that's one of your weaknesses and you want to put restraints in place to help yourself, right? So you leave your card at home, you bring your wife or your significant other, you give them your card, you let them know what your hard boundaries are, and then you can rock out. But yeah, it's one of those things where you gotta kind of monitor yourself or have somebody around that really cares about you and will enforce those things or help you with it.
You also got to know, listen, the house always wins. And listen, the casinos aren't there based off of winners' money.
Yeah, you're
They're
right
based
about
off of losers' money, right? That's why they're still. That's why they're continuing to build a whole different wing to that casino. They're making their profit off of losers' money. You go in there, you will be making a donation. Now, if you get ahead, like you said, you need to have that restraint to be able to like, all right, I done made out and came in with more money than, but people kind of stay. They get up and then they get down.
Yeah, man. And they end up giving all that money back.
Right back. Same thing on your phone. It'll be the same situation on your phone. You putting things in, those things are linked straight to your bank account.
Right.
That's the really scary part. A lot of those are still like they're linked to your card, they're linked to your bank account, and you just keep making bets. I'm gonna get it back. I'm gonna get this, and it's difficult. It really is a silent addiction, and really, really, you need to be aware of some of these other different things that can really hurt you financially. So, but yeah, it's been around, and unfortunately, like you said, I think it's going to continue to get more prevalent, just kind of given all the easy access we have. So we'll
Yeah,
see.
man.
Yeah. So as opposed to going to the casino, what you could do because the weather is breaking, that you could go outside or go to a different type of social gathering. All right, it's getting nice and
All
warm
right.
out there, Jay.
Where they going? Where's everybody at?
I mean, listen. I mean, go out there like we talked about on other previous episodes. Go outside, go get yourself some water ice, some ice cream. Go see a show, something simple. It doesn't have to be anything
Okay.
large.
Okay.
All right, go check it out. Go hit up a beer garden, something outdoors. It's getting the nicest. The weather's starting to get really nice out there. All right,
Dr. Carr got all the spots.
all right. Hit me up. I
You know
got
what
you
I'm saying?
guys covered. So listen, this is what Dr. J and I are gonna do. We are going to teach you guys how to survive and maneuver in some of these other different social situations, right? So, Jay, have you ever either witnessed or observed someone that's been like into silence about like an insult, and they didn't have like a witty comeback or anything? You just see them just they're picking their face up the floor when somebody hits them like with a zinger, and they got
Yeah,
no, right?
I've seen it.
Seen it. It's tough to watch, right? It's like a train wreck. They feel bad for the person. Well, that is because there's a physiological reason why. Like when someone says something offensive or harmful to somebody, that hurts their nervous system, and that can disrupt them getting activated and being able to come back with a decent comeback. Right? There are parts of the brain that are responsible for coming up with clever and witty things to say. And sometimes when you get hit too hard and that it's not activating, nothing's online, man, and you got nothing, right? So you're just standing there looking wild. So this is what we're going to do. This is why it's really important for you to plan ahead and have some of these comebacks or these retorts in your back pocket, right? And so this is what Dr. J and I are going to do. We are going to coach you when somebody says something wild or inappropriate or a zinger to you. We're going to teach you how to respond in a healthy, appropriate manner. All right. It's either going to shut down the dialogue conversation. So we got a few of them. All right. The first one is I'm a big sports fan, as most people know. So I like to do sports analogies. The first one that I like to use is like flag on the play. Right. So somebody says something wild or kind of takes you aback with it, right? We just say, whoa, flag on the play, right? Because most people know when you throw a flag on the play, that usually means something has committed like a penalty, pass interference, or something rather. So when you say flag on the play, it typically will stop the conversation, right, between you, if there are people around, and then you can kind of get a little bit more clarification. It's like, whoa, that lets the person know that you didn't put a boundary on, right? Like something's been crossed or something flagrant that's happened on the play. So I say sometimes you should throw that out there when somebody says something wild to you. Be like, whoa, flag on the play. Whoa, let me stop you there. Or I feel like that's been helpful for some clients that have had difficulty having retorts. You got one from Jay?
Well, personally, the first thing I would say is one thing that when somebody says something to you like that, they're trying to catch you off guard, right? They're looking for a reaction, right? So one thing that will always be useful is, you want to control your words, right? So saying nothing is powerful sometimes too. Now you don't want to stand in front of a person and say nothing, but a person doesn't necessarily deserve your attention, your time, or to be in your space, right? So if somebody is saying something insulting to you, there's nothing wrong with looking at them, looking them right in their eye and walking off. You're leaving them right there, right? And you don't respond at all. Another thing, that I've seen people use to perfection is, quite frankly, looking a person in the eye and saying, I'm not going to dignify that with a response, and then walking off, right? And there's various variations of that, right? But those are two things that you can do or practice doing, in any situation.
I like though. I'm gonna circle back to the silence one. I think that's really important to highlight, like you said, not dignifying that with a response for the reason that some of the things that we've told our clients is that one of the most important control factors or things that you can learn over the course of your life is that you have the power and control not to react. Right? A lot of times we feel like we have to react or we have to retaliate or something rather, when the battles that you choose not to engage in are just as important as the battles that you choose to engage in. And sometimes it's more important for you just to kind of walk away, right? Or you kind of have that silence. And that's a powerful tool. That shows a lot of restraint on an individual's part. And like you said, Jay, not even giving it the time of day. I'm not going to give you the time of day or even the energy to go back and forth with you. Especially if they're talking about something that's inappropriate or it's untrue, whatever the case may be. So I like that one. I like the one where I kind of, it's like a dismantling strategy aspect where somebody says like something inappropriate, like a joke. I give them the like, oh, I don't get it. Like, can you explain that?
Right.
Oh, let me get this. Oh, you meant this. So what you were saying, oh, that I get it now. Like you break the joke down, right? So you kind of take the wind out of its sail in the sense of it's like now
Yes,
yeah, you just tried to get the joke off, but I didn't kind of dismantle it. Like, oh, okay, I don't get. Oh, that's this and that. Oh, I get it. Okay, yeah, let's hear another one. What else you got? Let me hear some other jokes. What else? Right?
kind of letting them know it ain't land anyway, you know.
Nah, it didn't land. It didn't land. I'm trying to think of another. Oh, there's one that's been like, what a wild thing to say out loud, right? I've had a client use that one where they said like if somebody says something like especially like a social gathering and they say something like really flagrant to you and it's just like yo that's a wild thing to say out loud like just to hear did you hear yourself say that like let's think about that for a second. It kind of like again puts that spotlight back on them because especially when people are drinking or intoxicated, Jay, you know and I know inappropriate statements start to ensue and they go left.
And then
Situations go.
a lot of times, like it's good to be prepared in situations like that, especially if you like in a work situation or like you go in a family gathering, something where you don't want to get out of character, but you want to be able to kind of get with somebody if you got to or address a situation. Um, and you don't a lot of times how you respond to something can determine whether it escalates. So, you know, it's another reason why it's good to kind of play those situations out in your mind beforehand.
Yeah, you want to kind of go into like we mentioned earlier, a situation prepared as much as possible. Again, you can't control the actions of others, but you can control the way that you react to a situation. You want to be as prepared. It's a situation, especially if you know the audience that you're going into. Like you said, if you're going into whether a family gathering or you're going to someone at work, and you know how certain people tend to um, engage with others, and you don't want to lose yourself. Like I definitely agree with what you're saying. You don't want to lose your composure, or you get out of character, and then you risk saying something that's inappropriate or whatever the case may be. So it's important that you have some of these different comebacks in your back pocket in case you gotta, you know, neutralize the threat, as I like to call
Yeah, man. So,
it.
you know, it's gonna be it'd be interesting to see, you know, how that turns out in real situations, all of those things, because obviously the factors are different, but you know, I think it's definitely some good tips that people could start off with, you know.
Yeah. So when you guys go out there and use it, hit us back. Let us know how they worked out. All right. We love the feedback. It's always good to again put that energy on the other person because they're saying something wild. Sometimes you gotta de-escalate the situation. Something else also, Jay, have you also ever witnessed or observed somebody that had difficulty accepting like a compliment? Right. And I mean that by like if somebody were to say they come up to an individual and they say, "Oh, hey, you look good, you look great, nice dress or nice outfit," and the person's like, "Oh, well, this something, oh, this is cheap," or so, and they kind of respond in like a self-deprecating manner, or they kind of minimize whatever they're being complicated. You ever see that before?
Yeah, I think that's more common in, you know, a lot than even the last thing we talked about. Most people kind of deflect because either they don't like the attention on them, positive or negative, or they just kind of don't know how to accept a compliment and just say, you know, thank you and move on. It makes them feel awkward. So
Yeah, and you
A
would
lot of
think that.
times these are people that can give out plenty of compliments, you know.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, right? It's a situation where people think that just being able to say thank you is easy, but there's a huge percentage of individuals where saying thank you is pretty difficult for them. It really is. Even though it's only 2 words, it's something that they struggle with, and they kind of default into either minimizing whatever somebody's complimenting them for, or they kind of go into that like self-deprecating, making an excuse like, "Oh yeah, it's not that good." Even though you're saying whatever's nice, it's not nice. It's cheap. It's blah blah blah. And this could mean a couple different things. Um, the first thing I think that you see people kind of struggle with this is that a lot of time I think it's how we've been conditioned, maybe for a lack of a better term, of saying of how we respond when somebody compliments us, right? Like
Okay.
if somebody compliments you on something, if we respond in a manner and say, "Oh yeah, yeah, I know it looks good. I look great, don't I?" It comes off like we're kind of conditioned to be humble, right? You're supposed to kind of just say, accept it, be more kind of humble in a sense, or and more kind of answer in a more conservative manner than actually agree with the person and say, yeah, yes, I do, because it comes off of how it'll be like it may be
Like
perceived. You know what I mean?
like you self-absorbed or something.
Exactly. Right, 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 right. And I feel like that's something that we've uh just kind of maybe either been raised upon, or maybe kind of even maybe social media to a certain extent, of just how your response, it's almost like your response is put on the spotlight more than actually than the compliment itself, right?
I can see that.
To a certain extent. So I can kind of see how, like, if we're trained to say, be humble or show humility, or kind of be more conservative in regards to our response, if somebody were to go in the opposite direction, they kind of get labeled, like you said, vain, selfish, self-absorbed, whatever the case is, right? Um, I mean, what if you just want to agree with the person? Like if you say thank you, like, "Oh yeah, I do look good," like, I think that puts a lot of
And then
pressure.
I think the dynamics are important too, right? Because if it's a male giving a female a compliment, or a male or a female giving a male a compliment, depending on, whether the person is at work, whether they, you know, uh, whether they feel like the person is attractive, whatever the dynamics are important too, right? But I think we're kind of just talking about those people like in our everyday interactions that, you can
Yeah.
tell them anything nice about themselves. It doesn't have to stop at appearance, right? It could be you did nice work. It could be, I like, that painting you have, and they're always going to kind of deflect it or give you a compliment back, or and again, it does. I don't think it means it's anything wrong with the person, but we're talking about like personality traits, right? And some people, personality wise, they're gonna be what we would call, probably on a simplistic level, like givers, right? Like they may be able to give you a compliment, but they may not be able to accept one, right? So again, it doesn't make somebody a bad person, but it's something that, people should be aware of, right? Because when we talk about self-care and all of those things are under that umbrella, right? If you're giving people compliments and always, making sure that people feel valued in terms of, and making sure that kind of their emotional needs are met, and you're never validating the things you're doing, then again, you could kind of be short in yourself, and you may come to a point, where you go through some challenges, or go through some struggles, and you're bankrupt in that sense, right? You may not have that insight, if you haven't been telling yourself and giving yourself credit for the things you've been doing, right? Because that's how our emotions and our mind and our body work, right? They lie to us, right? Our mind lies to us, right? That's how anxiety works a lot of the time, and fear, right? So, this kind of is analogous to that the same way. That's why it's never good to just pour out into everyone and pour out to everyone and not have anybody that's pouring into you, or utilize self-care. So it's about balance. And if you know that you're a person that can't take a compliment, then you need to figure out some ways and some situations where where you can, and you can feel comfortable with that.
As you were talking, the word when you said validation, that came up, that struck a chord with me. Because something that came to mind were maybe individuals where they didn't get that validation as a child, right? So imagine if it was a
Yeah,
situation,
that could be an example of it too. Yeah.
right? Like if you're an individual that unfortunately, like as you were a child, you would maybe go to like your parent or sibling or whoever, right? And it would be a situation like, look, I got an A, right? Look, I did this. I got a good A on my project, on my paper. And you were met with, oh, well, you're supposed to do that anyway.
Right.
And you didn't get that acceptance. You didn't receive that validation. And if that was something that continuously occurred in like your household or growing up, where you, even as you did well, you didn't get that feedback or you didn't get that kind of warm reception of, yeah, you did do great, then that could also lead to or contribute to, as you got older, when people are paying you compliments, like you're at your job and you did something well and everybody's like, oh, so and so, Dr. J did this, he's such and such, he did all, and you're gonna be like, no, no, thank you. And then,
Right.
like, it makes you feel
You're
like
like,
you said,
nah, you're gonna be like, nah, I'm good.
right. You know what I mean? So there are different aspects that can also contribute. Like as you were talking, when you mentioned that, that kind of just that struck a chord with me.
I
And I'm
mean,
like, oh,
there's a lot of things, right? Culture dynamics too, right? Like the dynamic might be, I might be a male giving a compliment to a female that doesn't want me, doesn't want that type of attention from me, and the situation could be reversed. It could be culture, right? It could be from a culture where, you don't want the spotlight, right? You don't accept really uh, praise or whatever for certain behaviors, right? They just expect it, right? So there's a lot of different things, a lot of different factors that play. But fundamentally, right, if we see this across a bunch of different interactions and relationships, then it's something that you kind of need to look at. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with you, but it's just something you need to look at because the same way we all need to be connected to other people. I'm not saying that we need compliments, but we need to feel valued, and receiving compliments are a part of that, So
yeah, it's a good, yeah. The cultural component is very important for the reason that there are many collectivist oriented cultures where listen, humility is the thing, right? It's a situation where if someone gives you a compliment, you better not step out of line and be like, yeah, I know I did or such and such, right?
right.
Because absolutely a no. So absolutely, you're right. The cultural component is a very important variable to take in consideration. All of these things, especially that we're talking about, is something that we are always continuing to impress upon our viewers and our watchers and our listeners in the sense of self-reflection, right? These are all good opportunities for self-reflection and self-awareness. If there is a situation where you are having some difficulty accepting compliments, it could be due to various different things, but it's important that you owe it to yourself that you kind of take that inventory and be proud, right? Have that confidence in yourself that you are doing something well. Someone paid you with a compliment, and you kind of maybe gradually something for you to work on it, as opposed to minimizing whatever you're being complimented on. You get to a point where you can just say maybe thank you. And like you said, Jay earlier, is maybe pay that compliment back with another compliment that you're giving someone. Just kind of more of that learning how to be a person among people situation, and taking inventory and being proud of the things that you've done that you worked hard on. So, these are all the things that we always want to continue to endorse and promote here on our platform is absolutely, your self-care, engaging in other different activities that continue to increase your self-esteem and your self-worth. So there you go. There's a couple different things right there for people to maneuver as the spring season comes more into bloom. All right, Jay, anything else before we get out of here?
Nothing much. Just want to thank everybody that's been riding with us. Again, just in time, March, to kind of talk about the gambling, problem gambling awareness. We've been seeing that. Sure, we're going to be talking about that moving forward. And again, just want to thank you for steering the ship. and let everybody know we're gonna keep the content coming.
Absolutely. Wishing everybody a good holiday, good mental health. Continue to take care of yourselves. Yeah, that's about it. Appreciate everybody continuing to support and engagement. All right, Jay. Until next time, brother.
All right, my brother. Later.
All right.